back with another one. Well, finally, Grok 4.6 did drop on August 12, 2026, and the first comparisons against Gemini K3 and Claude Opus 5 are already getting attention, but xAI barely finished shipping 4.6 before Elon said 4.7 is significantly better and could arrive in 3 to 4 weeks. DeepSeek and Google also shipped major models while OpenAI expanded Daybreak around GPT 5.6. So today, we separate what shipped, what was claimed, and what still needs real testing. Start with xAI. Grok 4.6 launched on August 12th, with xAI positioning it as a major step for long-running agents and ambitious interactive work. The pitch is broader than chat research across many steps, analysis that stays coherent, code-based work, and turning a rough idea into a functioning application or visual artifact. It is available through xAI's API and Grok build, with partner access through platforms including Cursor, OpenRouter, Vercel, and Cloudflare. Standard pricing is $2 per million input tokens and $6 per million output tokens. There's also a faster variant at twice that rate, and xAI announced doubled usage limits for the launch week. That puts 4.6 directly into developer workflows, not behind a closed preview. Those details are release facts. The more interesting question is whether the capability jump matches the language. xAI says 4.6 received a longer supplemental training run than 4.5, using curated reasoning and technical data, regenerated trajectories, stronger filtering, and reinforcement learning across coding, knowledge work, web development, computer-aided design, and tool use. The company also says the model checks and verifies its own work more often on xAI's published chart. Grok 4.6 scores 61 on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index. That matches GPT 5.6 Sol Max on the same chart, sits 5 points above Grok 4.5 High, and 1 point below Fable 5 Max. But keep the label visible. xAI published the comparison, even though the index itself comes from a third party. Other xAI tables show gains on Cursor Bench, Deep SWE, Frontier Code, and GDP Val. xAI reports 69.9 on Cursor Bench and 65.9 on Deep SWE, while other frontier models still lead on some comparisons. The honest reading is competitive compression. Several systems are clustering close enough that workload fit matters more than a one-point headline. Useful signals, not a universal crown. The supplied visual tests do show why developers are paying attention. In the 3JS comparison, 4.6 produces richer scenes, more coherent geometry, and more complete interactions than 4.5 in several prompts. Other clips compare with Gemini K3 and Claude Opus 5. Those are third-party demonstrations not controlled by Ford benchmarks, so treat them as qualitative evidence only. The important behavior to test is persistence. Can the model hold a plan, recover from a bad tool call, and keep quality high after the flashy first screen? That is where long-running agents either become useful or quietly fall apart. Then came the 4.7 post. Elon Musk said 4.7 is significantly better than 4.6 and estimated 3 to 4 weeks. He also said initial training is complete and that supplemental training is adding a large amount of SpaceX company data. That is an executive statement and a timeline estimate, not a release. No public model card, no independent evaluation, and no shipping product yet. Still, if the estimate holds, xAI is signaling a compressed iteration loop measured in weeks, not quarters. That matters even before we know whether 4.7 earns the promise. DeepSeek moved on the same day with V4 Pro 0813. The company calls it the general availability release of V4 Pro, focused on agent upgrades and production gains. The model now exposes low, high, and max reasoning effort, supports the OpenAI Responses API, and is explicitly optimized for codex-style workflows. On the web and app, DeepSeek is surfacing it through expert mode. In the API, the model name stays DeepSeek V4 Pro, while the backend moves to the 0813 build. That detail matters for reproducibility. user-friendly name can remain unchanged even when the model behind it updates. The V4 family was introduced with a mixture of experts design, roughly 1.6 trillion total parameters, but only a fraction active on each token, plus a 1 million token context target. Architecture numbers are not a quality score, but they explain how DeepSeek is trying to balance scale with serving costs. DeepSeek's own table reports 87.9 on Terminal Bench, 2.1, 62.7 on Deep SWE, and 31.8 on Automation Bench. Competitors lead in some rows, so this is not a clean sweep. Pricing changes on August 16th. V4 Pro peak rates are 66 cents per million cache miss input tokens and $1.98 per million output tokens during off-peak hours. Peak pricing doubles those numbers. The deeper strategy is obvious: make a strong HM model easy to slot into existing tool chains, then compete aggressively on operational cost. Google is pushing the opposite lever: speed without treating Flash as the lightweight option. Gemini 3.7 Flash arrived on August 13th, only 3 weeks after 3.6 Flash. Google calls it its most intelligent workhorse model yet for coding and agents. The company says it plans better, follows instructions more reliably, uses tools with less supervision, and adapts when a workflow hits a roadblock. It supports text, images, audio, and video with a 1 million token context window and up to 64,000 output tokens. It is available through Google AI Studio, the Gemini API, Android Studio, Anti-Gravity, and enterprise channels, with Spark already using it. The official demonstrations make the product thesis easy to see. One prompt becomes a polished parallax furniture site. Another becomes a playable 3JS wizard game. A robotics workflow uses an orchestrator, evaluator, and tuner to improve a Mujo code task. And the Spark manufacturing demo searches vendor information, fills a spreadsheet, drafts outreach, requests approval, and updates the working record. None of that proves reliability across arbitrary tasks, but it does show the target not just answering faster, but staying useful across a chain of visible actions. Google's reported numbers are substantial. Gemini 3.7 Flash scores 1588 on Code Arena, 43.6% on Frontier Code, 65.3% on Deep SWE, 30.4% on Automation Bench, and 34% on GDP.pdf. Those figures come from Google's launch material and methodology page, and some outside model results are self-reported by their developers. So compared directionally, not as if every row came from one neutral lab. The strongest signal is consistency across coding, automation, and document work, not leadership on every individual row. Introductory pricing through the end of 2026 is 75 cents per million input tokens and $3.75 per million output tokens. On January 1st, those rates are scheduled to double. OpenAI's announcement is different. This is not a general model launch. Daybreak is an access program for authorized cyber defense work, now divided into blue and red. Daybreak Blue provides frontier general models, including GPT-5.6 Sol, with safeguards tuned for defensive tasks such as vulnerability discovery, secure code review, malware analysis, incident response, and patch validation. OpenAI recommends Blue as the starting point for most offenders. Daybreak Red is the more restricted tier for advanced vulnerability research, exploit validation, and security testing. It includes GPT 5.6 Cyber, a purpose-trained model designed to refuse less often on high-risk dual-use tasks while remaining inside a controlled access program. OpenAI reports that GPT 5.6 Cyber found a 2 vulnerability chain in the V8 JavaScript engine, one memory corruption issue, and a second step used to escape the heap sandbox. The company says it reported the findings to Google and identifies one issue as CVE 2026-15903. The two-step detail matters. A crash or memory bug is not automatically a full sandbox escape. The chain is what turns separate weaknesses into a more serious path. OpenAI also reports a 95% completion rate for its cyber model on an internal advanced cybersecurity evaluation versus much lower completion for general models. That number measures task completion and refusal behavior on OpenAI's own evaluation. It is not a universal security score. Both Daybreak tiers are still classified below OpenAI's critical capability level, and access includes identity verification, account security requirements, monitoring, legal attestations, and tight scoping. Individual accounts are also scheduled to require hardware security keys beginning September 1st. Put the 4 stories together and the pattern is bigger than a leaderboard. XAI is compressing frontier releases and pushing long-running agents. DeepSeek is lowering the friction of swapping a model into production tools. Google is turning Flash into a serious coding and agent workhorse. OpenAI is splitting general intelligence from higher risk capability access for builders. Model selection is becoming less permanent. The new advantage is a testing system that can rerun your real tasks when a backend changes, record costs and latency, and expose failures that polished demos hide. Save the prompt tool schema, repository state, expected files, and pass-fail checks. Measure how often the agent recovers without human rescue. Track total task costs, not just token price. And pin model versions whenever the provider allows it, because a stable name can conceal a moving backend. Benchmarks help you choose what to test. They should not choose for you. Byteford is putting these claims through real workflows, coding tool recovery, long horizon edits, visual generation, and cost under repeated use. Grok 4.6 is the first target, with Gemini 3.7 Flash and DeepSeek V4 Pro beside it. Subscribe if you want the results after the launch charts disappear. The race is moving weekly now, and the only durable edge is knowing what actually works. That's it for today's video, and thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.